That's the question you asked. For us, what we do is we ask people. We asked people, for example, if elections were held today, between this candidate and this candidate, who would you vote for? And people told us they would vote that one, as you saw. Now, there are many areas where people try to find reasons to dismiss the poll. Like I've always said, it's a bitter truth. It's a bitter truth.
Now, my second question before I come to Godber comes to you. Why do you think, what informed the citizen to take such a choice when you actually see there are challenges of service delivery, the economic forecast is gloomy, and some Ugandans sleep hungry, low purchasing power? What informs them to?
You see, that is your own thinking. We ask the question whether...
No, this is me, Kamara, thinking
that's
really?
Kamara.
You
Yes.
think the Ugandans...
Because the Ugandans, this is what I keep asking, are Ugandan rational in their choices or they're irrational? We asked the question for us to understand. We asked, has your economy improved since elections 3 years ago? And you saw the percentage.
Yeah.
A big number of Ugandans think they are better off than they were 3 years ago. We asked the people, do you think your pocket will improve in the near future? And still, a big number of Ugandans say, yes, we hope to improve our pockets in the near future. Now, if you're a politician and you're going to these people and you're portraying a gloomy economy like you're doing, will you be communicating to them? Those are questions that politicians should be asking themselves. Now, should Ugandans be supporting a person to whom they think could have created that situation? Again, that's your definition. Do they see President Museveni as the reason for why the economy is like that?
Okay, let me bring you in, Godber. You're a policy analyst, you're a lawyer, you're in civil society, and you're Ugandan most of all. You live here and you vote here.
Yeah.
Are these results a travesty? How do you analyze them?
No, actually, I think, first of all, I was particularly impressed with the methodology that Patrick and his team used, because it's very well described in the report. So really, in terms of methodology, you can say that methodology meets the standard of any other opinion poll you would find anywhere. Now, having said that, all the results that you find in that poll, you can actually find some explanations from a policy analysis perspective. One is that if you look at the scores of the president, you can easily understand that a president, and it may not have to be President Museveni, it could be another president, his name, his actions are thrown at you every other single day, from the TV, from the radio, from the public events that happen. So if you are in a society where the majority of there is a big percentage of the population that is illiterate, that is semi-illiterate, that have different socio-economic backgrounds, you actually can easily come up with that result because of the way this person is seen by the population. Because you can see the same trend with people like Rebecca Kadaga, even First Lady Janet Museveni. You can say these persons have a lot of presence in terms of engaging with the voters, with the population. So for me, it's not surprising that all of a sudden, when you ask, whom do you think should be, would you elect as a president? It's very easy for these kinds of names to come up.
I agree with you. The person of the president has a lot of presence in people's minds because he's on TV and everywhere. But also the people have their own problems, and sometimes they attribute them to leadership.
Yeah.
Why is it that they do not again blame it on him, and that becomes a political baggage for him?
No, incidentally, politicians are very smart people, because they claim every success, and they are very professional in denying responsibility. So in other words, any failure is not because of them, it is because of someone else. And particularly the president has been very smart on this one. You know, if NADS fail, it is because the NADS coordinator didn't do the job. If the education doesn't work very well, it is because the district local leadership doesn't do well. So, and this has been explained time and again. So, to be honest, I fully understand why Ugandans cannot say we are going to put this responsibility on the president or even on the minister. They will probably even put every blame on their local councillor or the chairperson. And so why in civil society and other fora we talk about civic education? Civic education helps citizens to understand their obligations and their rights and the responsibility of those who are given, who are elected in leadership. So again, in this country, one of the things where we have failed miserably is to deliver civic education.
Yeah. One of the questions you asked Dr. Patrick Wakida is that if President Museveni and Dr. Kizza Besigye are not in the picture, whom would you vote? I just want to know, why were you asking that question that way? What was your intention?
You see,
these are Ugandans who have...
The role of a pollster is to allow people to begin to see leaders beyond the current leadership. You begin to groom in the minds of the public the leader who would take over. We've had President Museveni for the last...
So you as the pollster, you're trying to tell us beyond President Museveni...
We want people to begin discussing that succession. President Museveni has been in office for the last 30 years or so. Dr. Kizza Besigye has contested for about three times.
Yeah.
There is already a voice in the population which say he should not contest. Mr. Museveni, is he going to contest? That debate is there. So what happens if one day he makes up his mind and he says, I am not going to run? Shouldn't the people be already aware of the leader to replace those people so that there is no vacuum? That is, in a democracy, that is what should be the case. And I think that is the role we should be playing. We shouldn't only be looking at how much money we make as a company, but also to contribute to a debate that that builds a nation.
Now, Godbar, when they ask that question like that, the person who comes out on top of everybody else is a person who has not declared intention for the presidency, a person who has not traversed this country, a person, a lawyer, 57-year-old Speaker of Parliament. How does that leave the other people who have declared intention, who have traversed the country and put in the money?
No, I think, Patrick, actually you miss out on one point.
Where?
Because on traversing the country. Because if there is any one politician in this country who has traversed the country, it's Speaker Rebecca Kadaga. Because she, at some point, she even ran a program of taking the parliament to the people, which I thought was a very powerful program. But also, I've argued time and again that Speaker Kadaga is one of those authentic politicians. Until very recently, I think recently we've seen her begin to flip-flop time and again. But until recently, she was a she looked a very authentic politician.
Until recently, so what has happened now?
I mean, I've seen the Speaker, defend some of those illegitimate payments in Parliament. Those monies they pay for NADS, they pay for whatever, and I think she's also one of the people who took this NRM money to go and distribute to the citizens. Anything to do with money, especially where I get a feeling that this money involves taxpayer money, it makes me quite uncomfortable. And I think that smart politicians would want to avoid being involved in those kinds of things. But having said that, just to say that I think that Speaker Kadaga, First Lady Janet Museveni, the First Lady has been running very powerful ads on mother-to-child transmission of HIV. She definitely started up a solid program called Uweso, and she has her programs. You can fault her for many other things, but I think in terms of contact with the electorate, with the voters, I think that it has been powerful. For me, the result actually that is surprising on that question is the result of people like General Muntu, whom we know that has been really mired up with the internal dynamics within the FDC, and for almost the last 2 years he hasn't really moved to engage with the voters the way he should have done. And so the fact that he actually bubbles up in this poll, if I was a strategist, whether in the opposition or in the ruling party, I would pay very serious attention.
Yeah.
Does this poll also show us that Ugandans are ready for a female presidency?
Well, let me first contribute to the choice that people made. You see, when we asked that question in the absence of Mr. Museveni and Dr. Kizza Besigye, you see Honorable Kadaga, you see Honorable Kataha, you see Mugisha Muntu, and others. We went ahead and asked, why that candidate?
Yeah.
And for me, that is very, very significant.
And what is
because
the
when we asked, why would you vote for Kadaga? Then you see people attributing her to being a good leader, attributing to her being firm, attributing to her being transparent, attributing to her having an ability to stand against, the ruling government. Now, when we asked a question, why Honorable Kataha? All the supporters of Kataha were asked that question, and you see people saying she is a wife of the president, therefore she will emulate the husband. You begin to see the significance for which people choose leaders.
They have a reason behind.
They have the reason behind.
Now, which also again brings me to this question: that the Museveni brand in Uganda is still so big.
Exactly.
That in the people you chose, you have President Museveni, you have Honorable Janet Kataha, you have also Kainoru Gaba, and I don't know who other names you need to give us. And Salim Saleh.
You see what building a brand. I am a brand position strategist. To build a brand, it takes a long time. Mr. Museveni has built a brand for the last 30 years.
Probably more.
It swallows all the other brands. That is the very complex situation the other telecoms have in Uganda. MTN was first here. MTN built its brand. That almost every Ugandan who went to buy a line bought an MTN line. Now, they merged the other telecom like...
Are you trying to do a commercial here?
No. I'm just trying to tell you. I don't know the managing director of MTN, but what I'm trying to build, I'm trying to build it to you. That brand positioning is a critical element. Brand awareness is a critical element for a buy-in of the brand. Now, has Museveni built his brand? Yes. That's why you see the name. If Janet is associated with this good brand, definitely people will identify it because they are aware of that brand.
Hold on to your point. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we often know that such polls, sometimes they are manipulated and to prepare the psyche of the population before an election. So, Dr. Patrick Wakida, how credible are your results? When we come back, we'll look into that.